Want an easy way to see if you could save money on car insurance? Geico gives you 3. Call 1-800-947-AUTO. Go online to geico.com or stop by the Geico office nearest you. 3 ways you could save 15% or more.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio. That's 98.7 FM New York City. That's 710 ESPN LA. And, of course, nationwide over the airwaves of ESPN Radio. Sirius XM, Channel 80. Number to call up, as always, is 866-729-3776. That's 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-SAY-ESPN. Lots of stuff to get into. We saw the Boston Celtics not only end the Golden State Warriors 7-game winning streak, but extend their winning streak to 14 games this season. I'll be talking about them and what kind of threat and how legitimate of a threat are they truly in the Eastern Conference, and the other teams, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and others, and how legitimate of a threat those teams are. Washington and Toronto, you can throw them in the mix too. We'll be talking about the landscape of the National Basketball Association. Chris Paul returned last night, but it was the James Harden show. Maybe we won't talk about that after all because, again, it was against the Phoenix Suns. What do you want me to say? We'll be talking about some NBA stuff, obviously. We'll get into a bevy of NFL stuff because we've got a bunch of games to talk about, primarily the Eagles going up against the Dallas Cowboys this Sunday night in Big D. Herm Edwards, a resident NFL analyst, former coach in New York and Kansas City, will be on the show with us in less than 15 minutes. We'll talk about that. But the first order of business, and by the way, I also have an announcement to make, which I will in just a few minutes or so. But before I do any of that, I don't want anybody out there to catch a heart attack with what I'm about to say. Because what I'm about to say may cause you to have a heart attack or a stroke. What I'm about to say might just so rattle you, so shock you, that you might literally want me tested. You might want me tested. Ladies and gentlemen, this whole ordeal involving Jerry Jones and Roger Goodell, with Jerry Jones on this mission to take down Roger Goodell, particularly when you take into consideration the information based on Outside the Lines report. The story was revealed this morning at 8 a.m. It's online right now. You can go read it for yourself. Some of the details: Jerry Jones feeling betrayed. Jerry Jones under the impression that Ezekiel Elliott will not receive a suspension at all. Jerry Jones learning otherwise and telling Roger Goodell he's the one that runs this league. Roger Goodell had better get with that program. Jerry Jones saying if you thought Robert Kraft, the owner for the New England Patriots, came at you, he's an expletive compared to what I'm going to do. And I will use every means necessary to take you down. These are threats that were handed to Roger Goodell personally by Jerry Jones, verbally and otherwise. This is what we've learned. And I got to tell you something. As I listen, as I pay attention, as I really contemplate what's transpiring before our very eyes, I got to admit to you, Jerry Jones actually looks right here. I'm going to say it again. Jerry Jones actually looks right. As I sit here and contemplate what's been transpiring, the thing that resonates with me so profoundly is Jerry Jones going so far as to feel betrayed. You might be upset. You might be angry. You might be disappointed. But the word betrayal, that connotates something different, ladies and gentlemen. It connotates you being told something and something different happening. It connotates you being lied to. It's got a whole bunch of stuff attached to it, man. And that's basically what Jerry Jones is saying here. And if that is indeed the case, I got news for you. He ain't wrong if that happened. Now, let's take a step back and analyze some of these things. We've got a compensation committee. That committee, ladies and gentlemen, is a 6-member committee. Jerry Jones was an ad hoc member, meaning that committee would consult with Jerry Jones. They'd divulge information to him. They'd seek his counsel or whatever. But they are the committee. He was not a direct member of that committee. We learned recently that Arthur Blank removed him from ad hoc status and basically considered him persona non grata because Jerry Jones is clearly on a mission to take down Roger Goodell, which, by the way, won't work because the compensation committee is not going to renege on the promise and the commitment they've already made to Roger Goodell. They're just not going to do it. Bob McNair, the owner for the Houston Texans, you know him, right? We can't let the inmates run the prisons. When he really meant the asylums, but didn't know the correct verbiage or the phraseology of all of that. And it created an uproar, tinkering towards racial lines, if not flat out stomping on it. He's on that compensation committee. You know who else is on that compensation committee? Mara for the New York Giants. Kraft for the New England Patriots. Rooney for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Arthur Blank for the Atlanta Falcons. I think I'm missing one more. But it's 6 members on there. Jerry Jones ain't one of them. And I think Mr. Hunt for Kansas City. So you got Hunt, you got Blank, you got Rooney, you got Kraft. Okay? You got Mara for the Giants. So that's at least 5 of them right there. And I forgot the 6th. It escapes me at this particular moment in time. The point is, they're on a compensation committee. And McNair, I'm sorry, you're not going to renege. And so because of that, you know Roger Goodell's going to get his extension. But Jerry Jones won't stop. Why won't he stop? Why won't he stop? And here's the bigger question. If you were Jerry Jones, would you stop if somebody looked at you and they assured you that your star player would not be suspended and then turned around and reneged on that promise? Particularly, and the timing of this matters, ladies and gentlemen, particularly when the promise was made before Jerry Jones signed off on Roger Goodell receiving a contract extension. And then when it was publicized that they were close to the agreement and the compensation committee was going to give him that contract extension, then Jerry Jones learned from Roger Goodell that there would indeed be a suspension. That sees, you can see where the feelings of betrayal come into play, don't you? So I was told what I was told, evidently, so you could get a contract extension, and then the second you knew you was going to get it because it was basically official, then you turn around and tell me Ezekiel Elliott's going to sit 6 games. We don't know all the particulars, ladies and gentlemen. We weren't flies on the wall. We don't know the veracity of everything it entails. But it's not beyond the pale to assume and deduce that Jerry Jones was told something by somebody. And now we get deeper into the woods because, ladies and gentlemen, there's only 2 people that matter. You got the general counsel, Jeff Pash, and you got Goodell himself. Somebody told Jerry something. We ain't all boo-boo the fool. I mean, I was born at night, not last night. Somebody told this man something. Somebody told Jerry Jones something. Somebody. That's the way you got to look at it. And if you're Pash, let me tell you something. In the article, Outside the Lines, they're talking about Lockhart, this guy Joe Lockhart, responsible for the overall image of the National Football League. You got owners who don't believe he's doing a good job. You got Pash, general counsel. You've got people that don't believe he's doing a good job. You've got Jeff Miller in charge of the health of the league. They don't think he's doing a good job. Yet these are soldiers of Roger Goodell who are perceived as individuals who are not doing a good job at doing their jobs. Yet and still they remain employed. They receive 7 figures. They're taken care of, even though they're not working efficiently on behalf of the league as far as various league owners are concerned. But when it comes to Pash, this is the same general counsel, Ray Rice, Bountygate, Deflategate, Spygate, Skycap Gate with the Minnesota Vikings. Now this. Same dude. Somebody told Jerry something. Somebody told him. 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-SAY-ESPN. Before Herm Edwards comes on the show, I told all of y'all I have an announcement, and I do. The Stephen A. Smith show, this Stephen A. Smith radio show, heard on Sirius XM every weekday, Channel 80. Also heard on terrestrial radio, that's AM or FM. Excuse me. In the New York market and the Los Angeles market, will be going nationwide as of January 2nd. I'll be in over 200 markets across the country, probably considerably more than that eventually, but at the very least over 200 markets across the United States of America. You will hear the Stephen A. Smith show. So come January 2nd, it's official. You're already nationwide on Sirius XM, but I'll be nationwide on free radio, Sirius, the AM FM dial as well, various cities throughout the United States of America. I can thank my bosses for the faith that they show. I can thank my team, Jonathan Winthrop, Nuno Texiera, Catherine Pastor, absolutely fabulous at what they do. I love my radio team. They'll be with me as well. But ultimately, the gratitude goes to all of you, the folks who are in their cars, the folks who are in their workplace listening to the radio show, the folks in social media on Twitter and Facebook and beyond who continue to give me their support throughout the years. My gratitude knows no limits. I sincerely thank you, but as I've said to you on many, many occasions, this isn't my show. This is our show. I'm a man of the people. Stephen A. Smith show includes all of you just as well as myself. I'm just a ringleader. That's all. But I thank you for your support because without you, this would not be happening. And I deeply appreciate it. And with that said, I got some work to do. Herm Edwards is up next. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio.
Want to be a part of the show? Hit Stephen A. up weekdays from 1 to 3 Eastern at 866-729-3776.
Hey girl, have you done something new with your scales? Using new moisturizer? Nice. It really brings out the hazel in your eyes. Oh, hold on. Are you using whitening strips too? Your fangs look good, girl. Really good.
A really charming snake charmer? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Wait, what? Have you been doing Pilates too?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
19 minutes past hour number one, back here in the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Let's get right to it because this is a busy man. He's got a lot of stuff to do. Always appreciate him making time for me. The NFL insider extraordinaire, analyst extraordinaire for ESPN, one and only, Coach Herm Edwards is on the line with us. What's up, Coach? Good afternoon. How are you? Good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well, my friend. And one of your teams last night showed up finally offensively.
How about that?
Steelers.
Those Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah. Listen, It took them long enough, but, I mean, they hadn't scored 30 or more all season long, and only four other teams had done that this year, and three of them were the Giants, the Bears, and the Browns. So I'm very happy.
You're right. And, you know, the thing that's still concerning, and Ben mentioned in the press conference after the game, is that they weren't very efficient in the red zone. They haven't been all year. They're 31st ranked in the red zone, actually. They were 3 for 7. And, you know, they got some turnovers early and couldn't score. They kicked field goals. That's never good. And this is what I don't like about them still. And they got to get this done some kind of way. They got to run the ball more efficiently, Stephen A., because when you have a lead like that, you would like to close the game out by running the football.
And you're not even talking about effectively. You're talking about attempts.
Yeah, I mean, and they kind of leaned on the pass. Now, Bell is still involved. I like the way they opened the game up with obviously spread formation against Dick LeBeau's defense. That identifies things, what he's going to do. Is he going to bring pressure? He's going to bring 4. Quarterback gets the ball out of his hand. I like that part of it, but you still have to run the ball in this league to close games out, especially in the playoffs.
You know what's interesting in what you're saying, Coach, that I find interesting anyway? The thing for me is Todd Haley is a former head coach who has been an offensive coordinator in this league for quite a long time. Big Ben Roethlisberger is a two-time Super Bowl champion who's gone to the Super Bowl 3 occasions, who's a future Hall of Famer, who's been in the league for more than a decade. What the hell is the problem with trying to figure things out? It's like a veteran's trying to coach a rookie or something. Where's the lack of chemistry? What's that about?
Yeah, well, a lot of it has to do with, play calling. And, it's easy to throw a pass in this league anymore. And all of a sudden you fall in love with the pass. And what happens to you is this, Stephen A. And I've always said this when I was head coach. The first thing I got to do is really establish the line of scrimmage. And how do I do that with my offensive linemen? And I didn't want to do this. Open up the game in a series of just throwing the football. Because then they become soft. I want to control the line of scrimmage. Well, how you do that? You have them offensive linemen fire out and go hit somebody so they can get into the game where they really got to knock people off the ball. Well, if that doesn't happen, all of a sudden they become offensive linemen that are in catch mode all the time.
Herm Edwards right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Dallas and Philadelphia, biggest game of the week, Sunday Night Football. Right now, how are you viewing this game? Handicap this game for me from your perspective. Who you think is going to pull us out?
Well, I'm going to like my Eagles, obviously, but here's the deal. If you're the Cowboys and you want any chance of competing in this game, you've got to protect the quarterback. You cannot allow 8 sacks to happen. They had
8 sacks like last week against Atlanta. Yep.
Yeah. Claiborne, he went back in after the game and said, I want to renegotiate my contract. I mean, come on, man. Them defensive linemen were lining up over on that side. They were fighting, trying to rush over there. But I think with that being said, this will be a competitive game. I've played in this game a number of years, and the attitude that the Eagles have for the Cowboys and the attitude that the Cowboys have for the Eagles teams, it runs deep, it runs far. So this will be one of those games where a lot of people are counting Dallas out. But if Dallas can run the football, they got a chance.
A chance? That's basically it? That's all. That's as far as you're willing to go?
A chance. This Eagles team's pretty good now. They're stout. Stephen A. Their weakness coming into the season was the back end, but their back end has really improved. Those young guys are getting better. They got the dominant pass rushers. They can stop the run. The quarterback's going to end up being the MVP. He's going to throw 30-plus touchdowns. There's no doubt about that.
So having said that, who's the number one threat to the Eagles in the NFC in your mind?
Oh, boy. Here. The experience of these guys, of Drew Brees, quarterback, of Cam Newton, quarterback. Look, I like the way Cam's playing. He's playing like he found his Superman suit again, Stephen A. Remember when he was MVP and he was running and doing all that stuff? He's that guy again. They let him wear his suit. They took his suit away last year. Said, we don't want you to run the ball. We don't want you to do it. He told the coach, hey, coach, look, let me be Cam. In other words, let me put my Superman suit on and play. I like those guys. They've got experience. This is a big test for me for the Rams this week. I'm going to find out a lot about the Rams.
Against Minnesota. Against that defense in Minnesota. Yes.
Yes. If they beat Minnesota, these Rams might be legit now.
I can feel you saying that, but what if this all Case Keenum thing is too distractive, and that's why Minnesota's offense doesn't perform well? I'm not sure about that. What I'm going to watch out for, Coach, is Drew Brees, because guess what? He's got a running game now with Ingram and Kamara.
Yes, and he got a defense.
Yeah.
He got a defense.
They're playing well.
Stephen A., if I would have told, I'm getting ready to give you this number and you're going to say, no, you're telling me to see it. No, they're the top 5 defense. The Saints.
Yeah.
They've been 32 in defense for the last 3 years. Not in the top 5.
And why are they top 5?
Well, they got a good rush. They got a nice secondary that takes the ball away. So they put this thing together. And here's going to be the problem. This reminds me of the Saints when they made that run for the Super Bowl. Playing them at home is going to be very, very difficult, because here's the deal. Drew Brees gets you a lead early in the first half, and now those guys know how to play with a lead. That's troublesome.
Coach, I know you got to run. Appreciate your time, buddy. Thanks so much. We'll have a wonderful weekend, and I know you're going to enjoy watching these football games. You know I will, too. You take it easy, right, buddy?
Thank you, my friend.
All right. One and only Herm Edwards right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. 866-729-3776. That's 866-SAY-ESPN. Back with your calls and more in a minute on Jerry Jones, on this spat, the dispute with Roger Goodell, on the league office and what you think should happen in this fight, the battle of the behemoths. And, of course, Eagles, Cowboys, Vikings, Rams. What game are you looking forward to? Well, I shouldn't say what game you're looking forward to most and why. We all know which game that is. But talk to us about what's going on. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show live right here on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast. Damn it, I mean it!
Thanks again to Coach Herm Edwards for coming on the show with us. Reminder, hour number 2, 15 minutes past hour number 2, our resident handicapper extraordinaire, founder for pregame.com, the official odds maker for the Associated Press, the one and only R.J. Bell will be on the show with us to handicap these games Vegas style for NFL week. So looking forward to that. For now, we'll get to the phones, though, at 866-SAY-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. Let's go to Tyler. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Tyler. What's up?
Hey, Stephen A. How you doing? Congratulations on the AM/FM nationwide coverage. It's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Wanted to talk about the NFC South. I call and frequently talk about them. Of course, I'm a big Falcons fan. But my question is, so the Falcons have dug themselves in a deep hole. I think they did it to themselves. They lost 2 really bad games in the way they lost to the Dolphins and then to the Bills, teams to which the Panthers just stomped the Dolphins on Monday Night Football, and the Saints went up to Buffalo and stomped the Bills. We had an impressive win, what I thought was an impressive win versus Dallas this past Sunday, and then we had to Seattle Monday night to play.
Stop right there.
The Seahawks.
Stop right there. You said the win against Dallas was impressive. Dallas did not have Ezekiel Elliott, A, and B, they lost Sean Lee.
I understand that. And I was fearful that if the Falcons beat Dallas without Zeke Elliott, that's what people would be saying, oh, well, they didn't have Zeke Elliott. I kind of wish he was playing in that game. I'm glad he's finally suspended, but I wish he was playing so we could have beat.
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to get on. I'm going to get on you a little bit in a very playful manner. You like my man Max Kellerman. You start off with a point, and then after that, you go around the block, down the hill, up around the corner, and back towards here, talking about how in one breath you're disappointed with the Falcons, particularly with horrendous losses, but in the same breath, you know what, they're going to beat the Cowboys, but you wish the Cowboys were playing or whatever the case may be. You've been talking for about a minute. You still haven't asked your question. You still haven't made your point.
All right, well, then my question is, what do we got to do in Seattle to prove to the NFC and maybe to the NFC South that we're
let me get on you for a little bit. Want me to tell you why that's a silly question on your part? This is not college football. You don't have to sit up there and win style points. All you have to do is win games and be good enough to be one of the top 6 seeds in your conference. This is not a popularity contest. This is not some committee deciding who's the top 4 teams in the nation. This is the NFL. It don't matter how they look. It don't matter what they do to prove or don't prove or whatever the case may be. What matters is that they win. They're 5-4. They lost 3 of their last 4 games before beating Dallas last week. You got Seattle, Tampa, Minnesota, New Orleans, Tampa again, New Orleans again, and Carolina. Now you got 2 games. All right, you got 2 games against New Orleans. You got a game against Minnesota, and you got this week against Seattle, and you close out the season against Carolina. I'm talking about 5 games right there you could lose. And you're talking to me about, well, what do we have to do to prove something? How about win? I don't even give a damn if you have to sit up there and burp in somebody's face to do it. Just win. Is that good enough, Tyler?
Hey, that's good enough. I'll take a W any week.
Thank you. Have a nice day. I mean, I don't understand these fans sometimes. I mean, this is not college football. You don't need to win style points in the NFL. All you got to do is win. That's it. You can sit up there and win on a fluke every week. You could win because somebody deflated footballs. You could win because somebody tied somebody else's shoelaces together. It don't matter. As long as you're in the W column at the end of each week, and you win more games than most dudes in your conference, you go into the playoffs. Evidently, Tyler's got, he's got Atlanta confused with the University of Georgia or somebody. And that's the team that lost some damn style points. Number 1 in the nation, getting your butt whipped the way that you did against Auburn. Got Tim Tebow being nice to you, talking about they just weren't the best team on Saturday. You got Nick Chubb and Sony Michel that combined for 47 yards rushing in a nationally televised game when you rank number 1 in the nation. Georgia Bulldogs should be ashamed of themselves. Ashamed. I mean, they're so damn bad. They were so damn bad this past Saturday that the committee said, we're going to demote Notre Dame too, because not only did they lose, but when they lost to you early in the season, we actually thought that was a good loss. Evidently, we were lying. That's how bad Georgia was. That's how much Auburn beat up on them. Enough. This ain't college football, Tyler. This is the pros, baby. Sha in Jersey. You're live at Stephen A. Talk to me.
How you doing, Stephen A? I would like to talk about Lonzo Ball and the Lakers. Do you think the problem is not so much Lonzo Ball, but the coaching?
It could be, but what does that have to do with how butt ugly his game has looked?
I mean, of course he hasn't been playing the greatest, but I feel like he can't get a rhythm because as soon as you start doing something good, he takes him out.
He takes him out in the fourth quarter.
Definitely in the fourth quarter. I mean,
yeah.
but
what about the first three quarters? Are you implying that not enough has been seen from Lonzo Ball to gauge what you have been seeing?
Right. Exactly.
You're wrong. He can't shoot when he's open. He's not really attacking the basket and creating shots for others as much as he should. I'm not saying he never does it, but not as much as he should. And I think that at times it looks like the bright lights is too big for him because of his daddy's words and rhetoric.
I mean, I feel you're right on that, but I just personally believe that Luke Walt isn't the right coach for the Lakers.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm saying you might be right. You might be right. But, Sha, don't you need for Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka to get some three-point shooters first?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, they should have never got rid of Nick Young.
Well, listen to what I'm saying. That's a good point, by the way, on your part, because Nick Young is going to do some special things in Golden State. But here's what my point is. Even though they inherited Luke Walton, here's my problem. Luke Walton comes from Golden State. Shy, we see the kind of system he comes from in terms of coaching, right? We saw the kind of success he had with the Warriors while coaching them in Steve Kerr's absence due to his illness a couple of years back, right? Remember that?
Yeah, definitely.
He had three-point shooters. You have no shooters now. So the question is, if you have no shooters, how much can you hold him accountable?
I mean, I just feel like he tried to coach the Lakers like they're Golden State. Like you can't do the group substitution.
Let me teach you. Let me teach you something about being a guest on the Stephen A. Smith Show, whether it's a phone call or anything else. You answer the questions I ask you. You don't just talk willy-nilly about what you feel in the face of facts. I asked you a question you still have not answered. What is he supposed to do if he has no shooters? Do you have an answer?
There's nothing that he can't do because he doesn't have any shooters. You're
okay.
Absolutely
so if there's nothing he can't
right
do,
about that.
So if there's nothing he can't do because he doesn't have any shooters, then why don't you call up to talk about somebody else until he gets them?
I mean, I don't know. That was just what was on my mind today, Stephen A. I apologize, but that's what was on
Don't
my
worry
mind.
about it. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I'm just reeling you in, just bring you back. I got to do it with Max every morning. I might as well do it with y'all too. Got to reel you back in and stick with the subject at hand. Appreciate the call, bro. Thank you so much.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast. Damn it, I mean it!
We'll get into some football stuff in hour number 2. Not just the games coming up, not just the Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys, but also Jameis Winston in news for the wrong reasons yet again. Plus, we've been talking about Jerry Jones in the league office as well. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Ronald. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Ronald? How are you?
How's it going, my brother?
Talk to me, man. How are you?
Hey, look, the first thing I want to do, man, first is to say congratulations, man. I'm telling you, in the memory, I've been watching ESPN since day one. In the memory of John Saunders, the great Stuart Scott, Big House Gaines, and your fabulous mother, all people who had influence on you, man. Stay humble, stay objective, and keep bringing it like you bring it, bro. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I usually just say thank you, and I keep it moving because it's really not about me. It's about y'all and everybody else. But let me say this. I'm glad you brought their names up. Obviously, my mother, the greatest woman in the world. I miss her every day. Clarence Big House Gaines passed away in 2005. My college basketball coach, the legendary, iconic figure that he was. But I also, when I think legends, when I think iconic figures, we can look at all myself and the Michael Smiths of the world, the Jay Harrises of the world, and so many others. John Saunders and what he means to so many of us and what he meant to so many of us particularly African Americans, with the way he performed day in and day out through his illustrious career at ABC and ESPN will never go unnoticed and will never be forgotten. And the same could be said for the late, great Stuart Scott. We miss them both tremendously. We miss them every day. And any level of success that I am blessed to enjoy while here at ESPN is a byproduct of what they established and what they built over the course of their illustrious careers at this company. So I really appreciate you bringing up both John Saunders and Stuart Scott.
Amen, brother. Well said. I want to say right quickly that Boston, that game last night is interesting to listen to the critiques of the game, because the one thing about these Celtics that I really wanted to say is, regardless of the talent they have now, ever since Brad Stevens has been that coach, Danny Ainge has been doing what Danny's been doing in that front office, got a lot of mentorship from, of course, the great Red Auerbach. Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you, that team is one team that you got to beat. You're just not going to show up. You got to beat them.
What? They defend, man. They defend. They play some defense. That's what really does it for them. They show up night in and night out. And like you said it best. You got to beat them. They ain't beating themselves. You're going to have to beat them.
Game to where Boston never had control of that game. I never had a feel they had a control of that game, but they just would not stop playing defense. And what they did was they worked themselves into a win, along with Golden State's bad shooting. But again, that's all credit to that Boston team, man. Great young team coming up, I'm telling you, with more talent to come.
I think you're right, man, and I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Keep these calls coming. Thank you. Let's go to Rick in Manhattan. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Rick. What's up?
How you doing, Stephen?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for calling.
Hello?
Go ahead, man. You live on air, buddy. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. I wanted to make a point from a caller that made about the Atlanta Falcons in regards if they can prove themselves. How about just give Julio the ball?
Well, apparently they have a hard time getting Julio the ball because you're going to double and triple team Julio because you're going to dare Mohamed Sanu or Tevin Coleman or Devontae Freeman or Taylor Gabriel. You're going to dare one of these people to beat you.
Yeah, it doesn't help also that Freeman got the concussion, as always.
That's right. Not at all. Not at all. Doesn't help him at all. But I'm saying they got the personnel. But even though they're 5-4, Atlanta has been a huge disappointment. But I sort of understand why, Rick. When you got two rookie coordinators, what do you expect? Shanahan leaves. Steve Sarkisian was never an NFL coordinator until now. And this dude, Marquand, your defensive coordinator, I mean, he gets after it. Don't get me wrong. He's had good days. He's had good Sundays, not so good Sundays. But they're both first-year coordinators.
Agreed.
And I think that's a big, big problem for Atlanta right now. I think they'll probably be better next year. But you got to remember, with Shanahan, it took like Matt Ryan a full year to get things going before last year's success happened. The year before that, Atlanta wasn't even on the map.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate the call, man. Let's go to Oscar in L.A. You're live with Stephen A. Real quick, Oscar. Go ahead, buddy.
Hey, what's up, Stephen A. Smith? Happy Friday.
Thank you, man. Go ahead.
Hey, I just listen to, like, LeVar Ball, like, yap. And I really don't, it goes in one ear and out the other. I don't take him serious. I like that he just talks out, and, some of that stuff to me is just hilarious. But, I mean, if you actually, like, pay attention to him and, you actually buy into all that hype, then, of course, Lonzo Ball is going to be like, right now he's going to look like a bust. But in reality, 16 games, he's young. I just think it's ridiculous for people to, even bring that up.
Stop right there. Let me educate you about something. Because you're not listening to the real narrative going on. It's not a matter of him being a bust like he can't play. It's a matter of comparing him to people who draft. Like, let's say, for example, right, you're listening to the Stephen A. Smith radio show right now, okay? You hear me?
Yep.
Okay, what you're going to do is not just look at it on face value. You're going to relate it to other shows you're looking to or listening to, for better or worse. With television ratings, for example, Nielsen ratings and the things of that nature that come about, okay? Here's what happens, Oscar. How do you know your rating? Because it's compared to people who do what you're doing. And based on that, it's decided whether the show is successful or not. So if First Take is number one in cable from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern time, right? Well, why? It's because you're measuring it against the other shows that are coming on between 10 and noon. So what I'm saying to you is, sure, Lonzo can play. Sure, Lonzo's got an upside. Sure, he's probably not a bust or whatever. But if you're the number 2 overall pick, I don't have a right to look at Jason Tatum, De'Aaron Fox, or Josh Jackson, or Markkanen, or Dennis Smith Jr., or Donovan Mitchell. I don't have a license to look at them who were all drafted behind you and say, damn, I could have had them.
I think if you compare him to a point guard, yes, but to compare him to everybody else, I just don't.
Fair.
I don't see how you could do that.
That's fair. That's fair. And I like that point. We got to go to break, but I'm going to touch on that point in hour number 2 at some point because that's a fair critique on your part. I still think you're wrong, but I'll tell you why. It's very, very fair, Oscar, that you brought that up. Kudos to you. Hour number 2 up next with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.